This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Because Progressive offers discounts for paying in full, owning a home, and more. Plus, you can count on their great customer service to help you when you need it, so your dollar goes a long way. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save on car insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations.
Welcome to the Covert Narcissism Podcast. I'm your host, Renee Swanson. I am not a therapist, and you are not a victim. Today's episode is a little different. This one is not for the survivors who normally tune in. It's actually for their children, and more specifically, their adult children. For the sons and daughters who grew up watching a marriage fall apart, maybe quietly, maybe loudly, but definitely painfully, and who still carry confusion about what really happened. If you're listening today because your mom or your dad sent this to you, I want you to know that this is not about taking sides. It's not about judging or labeling anyone. It's simply about understanding. It's about seeing what was really happening beneath the surface with compassion for both of your parents. And if you're the parent who sent this, I hope that this gives words to what your heart has wanted to say for a long time, gently, truthfully, and with love. Welcome back to the Covert Narcissism Podcast, where sometimes understanding what happened between two people we love requires us to look beyond what we saw and listen with our hearts instead of with our history. When you were growing up, you saw what any child sees: moments and glimpses of a lengthy and complicated relationship. You saw glimpses of moods, emotions, and reactions. Maybe one parent seemed angry, quick to react, and hard to please, while the other seemed calm and patient. But on a different day, it might have even been the other way around. Or maybe one always seemed angry and the other more pleasant. It is very easy to assume that one was difficult and the other was steady. But I'm here to tell you it's far more complicated than that. There is a lot of the relationship that you don't see. Relationships, especially long marriages, are far more complex than they appear. Most of what happens in a partnership is invisible to the world around them, even to the kids who are living within the very same home. A whole lot of dialogue and interactions go on behind closed doors, and it lays the entire foundation for the relationship. This is where you find communication patterns, emotional habits, unhealed wounds, and survival strategies that both partners learned long before they ever even met each other. These survival responses that I'm talking about here play a huge role in their relationship. One person may cope with, danger or threat by controlling or withdrawing or keeping things, surface level. That might not mean that they don't care, but rather that vulnerability feels dangerous to them. Well, the other one may cope by trying harder, talking more, explaining things, fixing, and reaching for closeness that keeps getting pushed away. In their desperation, they may even explode in anger. And for them, it doesn't mean they don't care, but rather it means that they care so much that they are angry about it. This is far more than just miscommunication. This is two nervous systems reacting to fear in opposite ways. One shuts down to stay safe, but the other reaches out, loud and desperate. Now, if you remember one of your parents being angry, reactive, even explosive, that anger might not have been about hatred or cruelty or meanness. It might have been grief and desperation. Anger is absolutely one of the stages of grief. And when we start losing the very relationship that we are clinging to the most, the one that we thought we had and was supposed to be for life, it hurts. That pain can easily turn to anger, not because they are mean and cruel, but because they care. Sometimes that anger is a desperate cry for desperation, a scream that says, please see me, please hear me, please meet me in this relationship. Your parents are human, and they do have that need to be seen and to be validated. But when their cry is met with subtle withdrawal, emotional distance, or calm detachment, the pain deepens, and their reactions actually might get bigger. Now, to an outsider, even to a child, it can look like one parent is the problem and the other one is being reasonable. But beneath that, there's often one person trying with everything they have to repair a bond that's been slipping away for years, and another person trying to protect themselves from emotional discomfort that they don't know how to face. What you're really seeing is heartbreak on both sides, one that expresses pain loudly and one that might hide it quietly. Neither one is evil, both are definitely hurting. But when repair keeps getting blocked and safety and vulnerability cannot be found, trust cannot grow, and love turns into survival mode. That very survival mode eventually will break a marriage. When a relationship spends years in survival mode, love just can't breathe there anymore. Survival mode is all about protection, not connection. It's about defenses, not vulnerability. When both people are constantly bracing for the next argument, guarding their words, or scanning the room for emotional safety, there's no space left for trust to grow. And without trust, you can't be yourself. You can't relax. You can't be genuine and spontaneous. Instead, you become hypervigilant, walking on eggshells. You become someone that you are not. Instead, you become hypervigilant, walking on eggshells. You become someone that you are not. Survival mode is dangerous. While it does protect us in the moment, it also destroys us. It consumes your very thoughts, causing your mind to be hyperactive and overly reactive. Over time, that constant state of alertness rewires how these two people related to each other. One person might control or retreat to stay safe. The other might cling and plead for reassurance. Each response triggers the other, and the cycle just grows. The tension just grows. What once felt like love starts to feel like survival. Two people protecting themselves from the person they most want to feel safe with. And when love has to fight for oxygen inside that kind of tension, it eventually suffocates. Not because there wasn't love there to begin with, but because fear took over. When you can't relax within your own home, you can't show up as the parent you want to be. It's not that you stop loving your children, you never stop. But the constant state of alertness, the walking on eggshells that both parents ended up doing some, the quiet dread of what mood will they be in today, it changes you. Your nervous system stays on guard. And when you live like that long enough, it drains your ability to be present. You become reactive, distracted, short-tempered, distant, not because you don't care, but because you're running on emotional fumes. Children, you sense that tension. You feel it when a parent's body is in the room, but their heart is somewhere else. You know when they're trying to manage an invisible storm. As parents, that breaks us, because deep down we know this isn't who I wanted to be as a parent. When you're surviving an emotionally unsafe relationship, every ounce of energy you have goes into keeping the peace, anticipating the next blow, managing the unpredictable moods of your partner, trying to keep the children safe. That means there's very little room left for laughter, curiosity, patience, the very things that nurture connection with your kids. Again, it's not about lack of love. It's just the cost of survival. You can't nurture openness in your children when you yourself are afraid to be open. You can't teach them to trust when you've lost trust in your own reality. You can't model calm when your body is constantly bracing for impact. And so, even though you love your children more than anything, The version of you that they get is not the version of you they wish you had. That's one of the quiet heartbreaks of living in survival mode. Not only do you lose yourself, but you lose moments with the kids that you never can get back. Now, if you grew up in a household full of this kind of turmoil, you might have wondered if things were so bad, why didn't they just leave? This is a very common question, and it makes sense to ask. Most people stay far longer than they should, not because they are weak, but because they are hopeful. They hope that the good moments mean that things are getting better. They hope that their love will finally be enough. They hope that tomorrow will bring change. They're fighting to keep a family unit together, and that's a noble fight. When that effort is not met, the exhaustion becomes unbearable. That exhaustion makes leaving so far out of reach. How do I walk away? How do I make it on my own? How do I start over? By the time you actually decide to leave, you have no idea how. Your tank is completely empty. You have no feelings left at this point, and you might only react in anger.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Because Progressive offers discounts for paying in full, owning a home, and more. Plus, you can count on their great customer service to help you when you need it, so your dollar goes a long way. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save on car insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations.
Fifth Third Bank's commercial payments are fast and efficient, but they're not just fast and efficient. They're also powered by the latest in payments technology, built to evolve with your business. Fifth Third Bank has the big bank muscle to handle payments for businesses of any size. But they also have the fintech hustle that got them named one of America's most innovative companies by Fortune magazine. That's what being a Fifth Third better is all about. It's about not just being one thing, but many things for our customers. Big bank muscle, fintech hustle. That's your commercial payments, a Fifth Third better.
Because of all the pain. Healing is going to take a little bit of time. Now, before you assume that the parent who left is the one who gave up, I want you to know that often the one that leaves is the one who tried the longest. They are often the one who worked the hardest to make this marriage last. They went to counseling, read books, prayed, forgave, explained, compromised, gave in again and again, hoping for real change, for repair. But none of that changed anything. They literally have nothing left. So they simply walk away. It can be very easy to blame the parent who walked away because that's the visible act. That's the moment that everyone sees. That's the part that makes the separation concrete. But what people don't see is all the pain that led up to it. The quiet years of trying to hold everything together while everything was falling apart. This was a separation that started years ago. This dynamic is extremely complex. And there isn't one villain and one saint. I'm not saying that. There are two people caught in an emotional loop that neither one could find their way out of. Now, you might be angry at one parent or at both of them. You might not believe one parent or you might not believe either of them. You might feel loyal to one parent, you might feel loyal to both, and you might feel loyal to neither one of them. You might just be tired of trying to figure it all out, and I don't blame you. This is not yours to figure out. This was a dynamic that started in both of your parents long before you ever came into existence. You were born into the chaos, but you did not cause it. You were part of a family system that was breaking apart long before you. Both of your parents were doing the best they knew how with the tools, fears, survival responses, beliefs that they carried. Sometimes one person's coping caused harm, while the other person's reaction to that harm caused more pain. It's a tangled web of human imperfection. You do not need to assign all the blame to anyone in order to understand that hurt happened and that both people were a part of it. They both will need time to heal. Healing does not look the same for everyone. One person might, finally be learning to breathe. They might be learning to exist without fear, to speak without apology, to find peace without walking on eggshells, to teach their brain to relax again. That healing can sometimes look like setting boundaries that, this might be foreign. They might be creating a little bit of distance, and these changes can feel confusing from the outside. The other parent might still be in pain. They might be angry, defensive, struggling to understand why things fell apart. That does not make them bad. For either of these, it just means they're still lost inside their own story, still trying to figure it out. Here's something very important to understand about this entire generation of parents. Most of us were never taught emotional intelligence. We weren't taught how to name or express our emotions, much less how to handle the emotions of others. We weren't taught how to honor our inner world, to set healthy boundaries to protect it. We were taught to be strong, to be loyal, to be forgiving, even if it meant losing ourselves in the process. But the world is turning. More and more young adults, maybe you among them, are learning about emotional health, trauma, boundaries, self-care. You're learning that love is not supposed to cost you your peace, that kindness does not mean self-abandonment, that boundaries don't mean rejection, that real intimacy comes from emotional honesty, not silent endurance. And that gives me hope because it means the cycle can stop here. You can take what was painful in your parents' marriage and use it to build something healthier now in your own life. You can learn what we didn't know, and maybe someday you can even teach it to your children. Now, it's important that you know you get to have your own relationship with each parent, one that belongs just to you and them. You do not have to pick between your parents. It is okay to love them both. It is okay to feel close to one and confused by the other on one day and the other way around on the next day. You don't have to choose sides. You don't have to carry anyone else's story. You don't have to defend anyone or blame anyone. You don't have to become the referee or the messenger. You can say, my relationship with my mom is about my connection with my mom. My relationship with my dad is about my connection to my dad. I can love both without being disloyal to either one. No triangles, no tug of war. Just genuine connection. One person at a time, one relationship at a time. That's where healing for our families begins. When everyone stops competing for validation, for attention, for approval, and just starts focusing on our own connection, our own healing. If you grew up watching your parents' relationship fall apart, I want you to know that your childhood does not have to define you. It can inform you if you let it. The confusion, the tension, the walking on eggshells, none of that was your fault. But it did shape you. Absolutely. It taught you things about love, conflict, communication, and safety that might not at all be true and might not be valuable for you going forward. I encourage you to question those lessons and to learn from them. Ask yourself, what did I learn about love from watching my parents? Did I learn that love means overfunctioning, staying silent, pleasing in order to keep the peace? Did I learn that love means controlling and stifling the other person? Did I learn to avoid conflict because it's unsafe? Did I learn to chase connection because it keeps slipping away? Becoming aware of those patterns is not about blaming them. It's not about figuring out whose fault it is. It's not about putting the blame on mom or on dad. It's about freeing you. You can use what you saw to build something different. Learn to speak what you feel. Learn to listen without fear. Learn to set boundaries with empathy that protect your peace, not as walls, but as pathways to healthy connection. This is how generational healing happens. It's how you stop repeating what broke you and you transform that pain into wisdom so that your relationships can be rooted in authenticity, not survival. To every son or daughter listening, if your parents sent this to you, it's because they love you. They're not trying to turn you against anyone. They just want you to see what was unseen, that behind the anger, the silence, and the final decision to walk away was a desperate fight to save something precious. They're not asking you to choose. They are asking you to give them a chance to learn and grow from their own mistakes. They made mistakes along the way, but that is a part of life. Family healing does not mean ignoring those mistakes or rewriting history. It means facing it. It means facing truth with compassion and walking forward with courage. One conversation, one boundary, one step at a time. To all the parents and children out there, I wish you so much peace on that journey of healing. You have been listening to the Covert Narcissism Podcast, where we break apart the insidious nature of these incredibly destructive and infinitely frustrating individuals. If you are caught up in this crazy-making relationship and drowning in self-doubt, guilt, or rumination, please reach out to me anytime. I offer individualized live coaching in both group and individual settings. We can find the right program for you. You do not need to go through this alone. You can find all of that information on my website at covertnarcissism.com. You can also reach out to me by email at Renee, Renee, at covertnarcissism.com. I do look forward to hearing from each and every one of you. Remember, I am not a therapist, and you are not a victim. I am a coach, and you are a survivor. The information provided by Renee Swanson, Covert Narcissism Podcast, and CNG Life Coaching is for educational purposes only and is not to be used for diagnosis purposes. It is not intended to be a substitute for clinical care. Please consult a healthcare provider for guidance specific to your case. This material discusses narcissism in general. Renee shares stories from her personal experience as well as from those that she has worked with for several years. Her material does not claim that any specific person has narcissism and should not be used to refer to any specific person as having narcissism. Permission is not granted to link to or repost this material to support an allegation or support a claim that any specific person is a narcissist. That would be an unauthorized misuse of the material and the information provided. Thank you.